Welcome to episode 121 of the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
That would be me.
Quick Time Event is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find us live on twitch.tv/CDRMagnus every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or on all of your favorite podcast services all across the internet shortly after the live show ends. Tonight, we got a show for you. It's been a couple weeks because we took last week off after Extra Life, which was a resounding success.
We did it.
If I don't say so myself, I would call that a success. We raised $1,000 for Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus with the help of all of you fine people.
Thank you.
And because of that, you're going to get some stuff.
Yeah.
We got a
Whole
Let's
lot
Play
of content
series.
on their way.
Let's Play series coming. We got another episode of Bob Ross we got to shoot. We got to plan a 12-hour Overwatch stream, and we got another 24-hour stream coming sometime next summer.
Oh, boy.
That's all thanks to you. You're welcome.
24-hour streams in 1 year.
You're welcome. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Something we haven't done really this year, really. We have an evergreen topic tonight.
It's been a hell of a year. I'm surprised we haven't done this so far.
Our topic of the show tonight is going to be a little topic that I thought about due to something that I'm going to explain here very shortly. But we got an evergreen.
This is a very prompted topic.
Yeah,
you don't just think of this. This comes up.
It does. So we got a little topic of the show for you. We're going to talk about some news. The Game Awards nominees were just unveiled yesterday. We got a Halo Infinite update coming from 343 themselves. And Next Gen has officially started, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But until then, it's been 2 weeks since we last had a podcast. It's been almost 2 weeks since Extra Life. John, what have you been playing?
God, I'm like forgetting what I've been playing. I know that I played and beat Bastion, so that's done. I had a really good time with it. It was very fun. I was quite charmed. And then I started Transistor and not liking it as much as Bastion, honestly. But that might just be a me thing. I don't know. Is one of them like heralded as better than the other?
I
think universally or
nah, I don't remember, because Bastion, I don't think I was like paying attention to games when Bastion came out anywhere near as closely as I do now.
Sure.
Transistor came out like right when I was, and I remember everybody loving it. So I don't know what the critical. I can go back and look at what review scores were, but like,
well, sure. I just wasn't sure if you knew off the top of your head.
No, I know that everybody loved Transistor when it came out, but I don't know how they compared it to Bastion, I guess.
I mean, it's fun, don't get me wrong. I just am not in love with the way that the gameplay and the combat works.
Sure.
Because you kind of like freeze time and just plan out a bunch of actions, which your character will then go do. Instead of it being like in the moment combat kind of stuff.
Oh.
Like you can do in the moment, but you're gonna die. Oh no, where did I go?
You're back.
I'm dead. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like a pretty interesting story. I'm still really confused about what is going on. Because that's the thing about these games so far. They kind of just drop you in the middle of the plot and don't really tell you what's going on.
I guess that makes sense. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay. Discord is giving me this weird thing that says, there's no audio device detected. No one can hear you. But that's a lie, Discord, so shut up. That
is a lie. Yeah, get out.
I will say that Hades is not like that at all. There's no stop motion anything. It's all, real time combat in Hades. So if you're held up about that, I would not hold that back from you playing Hades. That. Don't let that be a roadblock.
That's good to hear. Because again, it's just and this will actually link into our our evergreen topic, but games where you have to essentially pause the action and plan out what you're gonna do, and then like hit a magic button and your character automatically does all those things. Not my favorite. Doesn't usually take off for me. That's not my preferred game style. That's for sure. In fact, one might
How do
say
you
that I
feel?
never learned how to do that in some games.
I know where that's going. How
Yeah.
how do you feel about a mix of it? Like real time combat plus like some time
Well,
stoppage.
I mean, that's kind of what Transistor feels like, because
Okay.
you can do the real time stuff. It's just that like you're probably gonna die if you don't use this turn based kind of thing.
Sure. So the reason why I'm asking this is because I played Final Fantasy VII Remake earlier this year, and at the time it seemed like you were maybe interested in playing it at some point.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII has a version of that where when you're swinging your sword around, it's real time combat, but then you have a bar that's charging, basically your action bar. And when that gets full, you can pause combat to pick the spell you're going to cast or the ability that you're going to use, which like pauses time briefly. But it's not like you're plotting out, okay, you're going to move over here and then use the attack. It's just like you're pausing the game real quick to select the move that you're going to use, and then time starts back up again once you select it.
Not sure how I would feel about that.
Okay, I would maybe go and watch if you do end up playing Final Fantasy VII at some point. I'm guessing it's not going to happen anytime soon, but I would maybe go and watch a stream to watch what combat looks like first,
Sure.
because it
Like
sounds like that might be a turnoff for you.
there's so many different ways that they do this. Like if it's a traditional RPG and it's turn based, I'm on board. That's fine. If it's a Paper Mario style RPG where it's or at least the classic ones where it's turn based, but like you can essentially hit buttons at the right time to increase your attack or defense, I'm also fine with that. Whenever you're able to just like run around like a madman and then pause time and plan out a bunch of moves, and then you have to keep on running around after to let your meter thing recharge, that's what I'm not sold on.
Okay.
So if that's what they do,
It's not really that. I don't know. It didn't bother me because I know what you're talking about, and I think that that's not a gameplay style that I like necessarily. And Final Fantasy VII Remake definitely took a minute to adjust to, but it never felt like sluggish or
sure.
uninteractive or something like that.
And that's the thing. This Transistor isn't sluggish or uninteractive. It's just I don't know. It's two very different things. Like you go from just being able to kind of hack and slash your way through things, but then all of a sudden, oh no, my health is down to a quarter and I didn't even see how that happened. Now I have to really be strategic. Like I guess you should just be strategic the whole time is what they're trying to tell you. I don't know. We'll see if I how I feel about it as I continue to play. I also don't know how far I am because again, they dropped you into the middle of this story and I have no real idea what's going on still. I think we played Overwatch, right?
We did.
Sunday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had a bunch of wins on Overwatch. That was a good time. I think we were at the end of the night. We finished with 8 wins, 2
I think
losses.
that's right. Yeah. At least in our last 10
knocked
games.
out a win, but like also a loss. So it was probably more like I don't know, 10 and 13 or something.
We had a good win record on Sunday.
Yeah, we did real good. And I am, I think, getting close to the end of the Sky Island Skypiea arc in One Piece. For those who know what that is, not Josh.
Nope.
I'm slowly but surely approaching episode 200. So like
you're getting
20%,
there.
20% of the way through.
That's a lot. I mean, that's like if it's on once
Most
a week,
shows,
you know,
most shows would be done by now.
Right. If that's on once a week, that's the first 4 years of the show you knocked out in like a month, basically.
Yeah, basically. Um, I think that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't I don't know what it would be.
You hyped for
I'm
that
pretty sure
Hyrule Warriors?
that's the thing. I didn't want to start anything big because Age of Calamity comes out tomorrow, and you bet that I'm gonna be playing the shit out of that. So I wasn't about to be like, oh, I'll start Persona 5 Royal now.
Get through not even the first
I
day. Just get
I
through like
might
the first couple
yeah,
of hours and be done.
if I had started it last week, I'd probably be through like the second palace by now, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
And then I would just drop it for for Zelda naturally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It seems like review wise, it's very split. There are a lot of people that gave it like 8s and 9s, then I've seen a lot of people give it like 5s or 6s. I think that the 5s and 6s are the people that don't understand what they're getting into. They're like,
Sure.
this is Zelda, and then they realize it's Dynasty Warriors, and they're like, well, what the fuck is this gameplay?
It's the same version of it's the same people who probably like review bombed. I don't know if anybody actually did this, but it's the same type of person who would have review bombed Cadence of Hyrule,
Probably.
the rhythm game, where it's
Sure.
like, this isn't Zelda. This is some weird beat rhythm game with Zelda skins, and it's like, yeah, that's what it always was. What have you been? Where are you getting your news from?
I was promised this thing that I made up in my head without doing any kind of research.
They said Zelda. That means it's this. I determine what Zelda is, not Nintendo and these giant companies who own it. It's me.
So, while we're still on the anime subject, I watched finally, and I don't know when this came out in the West, but the second My Hero Academia movie, Heroes Rising. I think that it only came out at least to streaming services relatively recently, but we watched that last weekend. I don't know that I really talked about My Hero Academia too much on this podcast. I think that was when we were doing our hiatus earlier this summer that I really binged watched all of that.
We had talked about it a little bit because I know that basically we went from I was watching it, you asked how it was, I gave some initial feedback off of like the first season, and then you guys started watching it. But I think that was when we kind of took a little bit of longer breaks between episodes, just because like.
Well, there was a period over the summer.
April.
I think April and May we didn't podcast at all, and we came back in June. It was like 2 months that we had off earlier this year.
I mean, yeah, it was a big adjustment to the whole pandemic lockdown.
For sure.
We just mental health was at an absolute low.
But anyway, we watched My Hero earlier this year, and then we watched the first movie back then. And then,
which I still haven't seen. I haven't seen any of the movies.
So
I think I'm caught up on the show, like the episodes.
And the thing is, this is what I want to talk about real quick: is what the fuck are anime movies? Because they always take place like. So the second film that we just watched, Heroes Rising, is the name of this one, and it takes place in the middle of season 4, between the arc with the girl Eri and rescuing her from that Yakuza guy, and then before the Gentle Criminal School Festival arc.
Yeah, okay.
So it takes place between those two arcs, and there's an episode in the show where they're training to go do the movie. Basically, like there's an episode in the season that basically acts as a prequel to the movie, essentially.
Okay.
And the film happens, and there's like major stuff that happens that just gets wrapped up with a neat little bow, and no one ever talks about it ever again.
Yeah. Then you're like, wait, why didn't they talk about any of this during the festival?
Right, like the major stuff
it had just happened.
Like they all almost died again, and they're just all gonna pretend like none of that happened. What is happening? What I don't understand. Like, and I understand why they have to do it. I guess because they're trying to make this movie have mass appeal to people who maybe don't watch the show, so that after they see the movie, they'll go back and watch the show.
Yeah.
But it just seems so weird to me that like they'll make this huge, big budget movie, this animated film that's done really well done. It was great, but the plot is just so insane. And
And then
then
it's
it's
just
just they
a
pretend like it
huge
never happens.
disconnect from
Yeah,
the actual main franchise that they wanted you to like
right,
get into.
right. So without spoiling too much of my hero, to blow John's mind, without spoiling anything for anybody that hasn't watched it, the main character's power that he got a special way, he just
Yes.
gives it to somebody else.
Okay.
And then
But then he gets it
magically,
back?
yeah, and then at the end it's just like it's explained away in one line that was like, "Oh, he got a miracle." And that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really dumb at the end how they wrapped that part up. But like otherwise it was a really cool premise that like it was fun. It was a fun movie.
That's the thing with anime movies. It's always either we're just going to drop this right in the middle of what you already know and therefore make the rest of the season almost not make sense, or we're going to put it a long time before or after any of the events in the anime, half the times with characters that you don't even know now. Option 3 is go the Neon Genesis Evangelion route and be like, hey, remember that anime that you really liked that was like, I don't know, 26 episodes? We're basically going to redo it, but only halfway through. And then the second half, we're going to completely change.
Mm.
Also, it's going to be 4 movies.
Yeah,
It's weird.
It's
I guess there are all there's also the fourth, the good category, where it's just completely one-off standalone movies that don't have a series tied to them and are just really good, like the Miyazaki films,
right.
where it's just a movie for the sake of being a movie. You're not going to find those characters in their own series that's like 50 episode shows.
Sure. What I like is usually for the films to not exist until they need to. Like with
Yes.
TV shows, let them run their course. Let them tell their story. And then when that's done, then deal with the movies. Don't have the movies come out in the middle of the TV show airing, because then you get stuff like this. It's one of the reasons why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is actually a really great show, was kind of hard because they had these major Marvel movies that came out that like changed what was happening in that show.
Sure.
But the way that they handled it was pretty cool because they linked it together.
Yeah.
What
Which
happened
is
in the
hard to
movies,
do.
right? What happened in the movies played into what was happening in the TV show. But that doesn't happen with My Hero. It's like
you need to
just didn't happen.
You need to have a lot of people on the same page for that to happen. And I'm guessing, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm guessing that the like directive and creative leads and like people in charge of the show My Hero might not be the same as the ones who are in charge of the movie.
That's the other crazy thing about Japanese, at least with anime and manga, because there's no talking there. Like take Persona for example. With the Persona, at least the Persona 3 and and actually all 3 of them, Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5. The games come out and it's like one thing, that the game is the canon thing, right? Like that's the property.
That's where all the other things, all the spin-off series, all the dancing withs originated from.
Sure. But then they make the manga of the game and they set things, basically the plot's the same, but for the purpose of the manga, they have to give the main character a name. Yes. So Persona 3, it's Minato, and Persona 4, it's Seta, and Persona 5, it's Akira. And then the anime comes out after the manga starts. But the anime people aren't talking to the manga people, so the anime people give the characters completely different names. It's Makoto in Persona 3, it's Yu in Persona 4, and it's Ren in Persona 5. And then the spin-off games come out, and the spin-off games must be talking to the anime people because they're always the same there.
Okay.
So then it becomes the manga name is like the non-canon name at that point. But it's happened 3 times now. Like, why can't you just all come together? Why can't Atlas just put their foot down and be like, okay, you know what? He's going to have a canon name. Every other game does this. You can name yourself whatever you want in Mass Effect, but everybody knows that's Commander Shepard.
Sure.
Like, there's ways to do this. But
yeah, I mean, same thing. Even, and I don't think it's necessarily like, I don't know. Even the Pokemon games, like the characters have canon names. Nobody ever used. Well, I guess a couple of people might, but like it's rare that people use them. In fact, it's more often that they'll abuse them. But yeah, I don't understand why people, again, this is even going back to Cyberpunk, why people can't talk to each other within the same franchise and company. Like, there'd be so many issues that were avoided if there was just open communication. And yet here we are.
Yeah. So going back to it, it's worth a watch. I rented it on Amazon Prime for I think $4. I don't think it's on any streaming services, but you can rent it on Prime. You can rent the first movie on Prime too. They're worth watching, but like at the end of the day, it's basically just like popcorn kind of thing. Like it's not gonna.
It's almost fan service.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Which is another thing that anime movies generally are made for.
Yes. So other than that, I've been playing a bunch of games. I'll start off with the last PlayStation. Well, I guess not the last PlayStation 4 game I played, but the game that has been the game, I guess, that inspired this week's topic of the show, which is Watch Dogs Legion.
Ooh.
Last time on the podcast, I talked about Watch Dogs Legion being good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a little weird with some of the choices they decided to make. I beat the story, and the story was great, actually. Story was pretty good. I was engaged the entire way through. Characters were fun. It felt, it didn't feel like cliche or like too samey from the other Watch Dogs games or from other properties that are out there right now. It felt like a unique thing, and it did a good job with it story-wise.
Okay, good.
But then I wanted to mop up the rest of the trophies that I had left. Didn't have too many, but they were all collectible based. I had to go around the map, and I had to do these street art murals / graffiti, whatever.
Yeah.
You have to take a drink at every bar in the city, and you have to play a game of darts at every place that there is a game of darts in the city.
How many places can you play darts that aren't bars?
They're all bars, but not all bars have a dartboard.
So basically, unless you really screw up, if you get have a drink at every bar, you should get the every dartboard.
Sure.
Okay.
Then there is also a trophy for spending 100,000 of whatever the currency was called.
Sure.
I had purposely not spent any of the currency because I was saving it all to make sure that I had 100,000 of it before I spent any of it, so that I knew that I did it. I go around the map, get all the collectibles. Trophies don't pop. Spend 100,000 coins. Trophies don't pop. It's the worst fucking feeling in the world. When it's like, you did everything right. And stupidly too, for some reason, these particular collectibles aren't collectibles that leave the map. So when you do the bar, when you take a drink at the bar, or when you play the game of darts, the little icon's still on the map.
I hate that.
Same with the
at least put a little check mark next to it.
They didn't do that though.
A little green check. It does not take much.
I can understand the bar one and the darts because that's a mini game, and actually drinking actually serves a purpose because there are certain characters that become stronger when they drink. Like that's their power basically. That's like that's why you would hire them basically, is they take a drink and they become stronger fist fighters or whatever.
That's theoretically how it works in real life too, for some people.
So there's a reason why, like, I could see why they wouldn't want to take those icons off the map. But yeah, put a check mark there at least. But the painting ones, there's no reason to not have. Like, once you paint it, it's done. It's painted. But they're still on the map. And so I double checked it. I went to this website and I verified, I counted all of the icons on the website to make sure that it matched up with how many there actually were. And I went through and I checked them all off. Didn't pop. Spent 100,000 coins. Didn't pop. And there's no way to go back and rectify it. Like I'm not going to go spend my time running around the map for another 4 hours, collecting all this again, probably for it just to not pop again.
Yeah. It's
the most deflating feeling. It's like, this is an issue. and this is the topic of the show. I don't want to spoil too much of the conversation we're about to have, but this is now something that is rampant, I've found, with Ubisoft games.
Ooh. Not what you want to hear.
It's just such a bummer. It's like I platinumed Watch Dogs 1, which was a giant pain in the ass because of one of the mini game trophies that was in it. I platinumed Watch Dogs 2 because that was a great game, and I liked it a lot. I wanted to platinum this one so that I had the whole series, but no. Nope. Not happening.
Are they done with Watch Dogs now? Is that series dead?
I guess it depends on how well this sells. I don't know that we've heard anything in terms of like numbers, or I guess it came out it was like the last week of October. So NPD end of this month will probably give us an idea as to how well it sold.
Okay.
But I don't know. I could definitely see them being done with it. I was kind of surprised that Watch Dogs Legion even happened, because Watch Dogs 2, while it was a great game, it just didn't sell that year.
Gotcha.
So I would imagine it's probably done, but like I do like the series, but now it just left a horrible taste in my mouth. So that was a huge bummer.
A little bit.
But
PS4 dead.
Yeah. That was supposed to be the swan song to the PlayStation 4. But no, not happening. But then the PlayStation 5 came in the mail on last Thursday.
You lucky duck.
It's been great. No complaints about the PlayStation 5. It's everything that it's been marketed as. It's so fast. Even little things like booting up not just the games, but the apps themselves, or switching between apps. The smart integrations they've made into the UI for things like, oh, I took a screenshot, I want to go see my screenshots. You don't have to back out to the main menu anymore to go to the capture gallery. You just hold down the capture button and it opens up the window for you. There's just a lot of smart enhancements they've made to the UI that just make it a much more pleasant experience. I've now played 2 games on it, 2 PS5 games. I've played Astro's Playroom, and I've played and beaten Spider-Man Miles Morales.
How dare you? Why are you sleeping on the game of the year?
Because I wanted to wait for it. It's not game of the year either. I know it's not, but it's going to be a great experience. That's my next game. I got to platinum it. I got to platinum Spider-Man, then I'll move on to Bugsnax. Anyway, the power of the console is pretty sweet. With Spider-Man, you can definitely see the ray tracing with a lot of the light sources and a lot of the reflections on the buildings. Like there's 2 modes you can play in. There's the fidelity mode, which is 4K. I think it's 30 frames per second, but then it has the ray tracing and extra textures and things like that. That's the default mode. Then there's also a performance mode, which removes the ray tracing and has 60 frames per second, I think. And if you move back and forth between those 2 modes, you can definitely see the fidelity piece of that and how it's doing a lot of things the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One couldn't. So yeah. Ray tracing is a subtle thing that I think is just going to make graphics more impressive than they've ever been before. So I'm really excited to see, especially how Sony's first party, especially Naughty Dog, and Sony Santa Monica, see how they handle that going forward, because it's really impressive to see what these games look like. Then Astro's Playroom is like legitimately a great game. It's a pack-in game. It's free. It comes with the console. It's basically like Wii Sports on the Wii. It's loaded on your console. You can play it as soon as you turn the console on while you're waiting for other games to download. And it's essentially acts as 2 things. It's a tech demo for the DualSense controller, and then it's also like a celebration of the last 4 generations of PlayStation. And let me tell you, haptic feedback and the DualSense controller are probably like the biggest improvement to gaming since analog, like the thumbsticks on the controller and back in the PS1 generation. I mean, I don't know how frequently people or developers are going to use the haptic feedback. From what I understand, it's easy to implement. So even games that are multi-platform, it seems like those developers will be able to implement haptic feedback into their games without having like to jump through hoops to do it.
Sure.
But haptic feedback is on another level. It adds so much to the experience, and it's really impossible to describe without you having the control in your hands for yourself. Like the way that you feel what's happening on the screen. Like there's this one part where you're like sliding down mud, and it feels like you're sliding down mud in your hands. And like there's this one part where there's a lot of springs involved, and the way that the adaptive triggers change their sensitivity based on like how the spring functions. It's really, really awesome. So I think that's being understated, even though everyone's raving about how great that feels that I've seen. It's still understated. It's so great. It's something that I wish everybody could just try. Like if COVID wasn't happening, I would literally say, hey, it's worth going to Best Buy for 2 hours to go to the little kiosk and play Astro's Playroom for 10 minutes just to see how that feels, because it's legitimately an amazing experience. So yeah, Astro's Playroom, great pack-in game. Took me about 4 hours to platinum it. Not too hard, but it's actually really fun playing it too. So it's not just like you can tell it was crafted with a lot of love, and care. And it's also cool to see the old PlayStation stuff. Like all of the collectibles you're getting in the game are they're called artifacts, but they're all of the PlayStation hardware from the last 4 generations. There's like really obscure hardware in there. Like the PS1 had a mouse at one point. It had like the old PlayStation Eye, like the old webcams that you could use with your PS2 and stuff. All that's in there. So it was really cool to see a lot of that stuff again, and it's all rendered in 4K. So it's like, it looks like it's in your living room. It's pretty cool. Spider-Man is as cool as it looks in all the trailers. It's so cool. They nail the tone. They nail Miles as a character. They nail the diversity aspect of New York. Like Harlem feels like a lived-in place. I'm really impressed with the world building Insomniac was able to do, even compared to Spider-Man that came out in 2018. It just feels more real, and a lot of the work they did there is important for like diversity and inclusion in games.
Sure.
So Miles Morales is great. It's the story, it's short. It's shorter than I would have wanted, but that also means it doesn't like hang around too long. It's probably like 8 hours, maybe.
Oh wow, I figured it'd be like, I don't know, 15.
Yeah, no, it's also not a full price game. It's sort of billed as a the equivalent of Uncharted Lost Legacy. So it's not a full game, but it still feels like it. It's still all of Manhattan. It's the same size. The map, I think, is exactly the same as from Spider-Man. So it's still, the world is just as big. It's just there's not as much story there.
Yeah. And I mean, they didn't have to rebuild the entire map or I assume engine to run it.
No, I think it's the same engine. I think it's just improved lighting and improved textures and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So Miles Morales, incredible start to the generation for the Sony first party. Still a lot of games I need to get to from the Sony first. I kind of forget like how many games are available for this thing that are here day one from the first party studios. Like I still need to get to Demon Souls, Sackboy's Great Adventure.
I thought that you wanted to finish Dark Souls before jumping in.
I do, but that's still something I'm going to play eventually, and it's available right now. Sackboy's Big Adventure, Sackboy's Great Adventure, whichever one it is. That's a game that has not gotten as much fanfare, but has reviewed very, very well for people that like 3D platformers.
which is not you.
Not me. Well, yeah, not typically me. But it seems like it's doing very well. There's just a lot to play. And I'm very excited. There's more stuff coming out over the next couple of weeks. We still got Ratchet and Clank. Supposedly maybe even this year or maybe January, February next year. So there's a lot like on the very near horizon still to play here. But I misspoke before. Watch Dogs Legion was not my last game on the PlayStation 4, technically. Because I did play another PlayStation 4 game on Tuesday called My Name is Mayo 2.
Oh my god.
Now, I was always going to play My Name is Mayo 2 because I played My Name is Mayo, and you got to keep it in the series. You got to keep you're invested in one game, you got to invest in all of them. You got to see it through.
Here's the thing. You don't.
You do though. It's 99 cents. And
I mean, okay, for that, yes.
It's 99 cents and it's legitimately hilarious. Like, sure, it's a stupid game where you click on a jar of mayonnaise, but that story, it's not really a story, but it's just like the humor in it is great. It's worth it. It's worth 99 cents for sure. Then factor in you get a platinum trophy in 45 minutes and it's a must buy.
There it is.
Also, listen, I was ripped off by Watch Dogs Legion. I earned that platinum trophy, and they did not give it to me. They did not give it to me. So, you know what? My Name is Mayo 2 made up for my Watch Dogs Legion platinum trophy.
My Name is Mayo 2. You heard it here first, folks. My Name is Mayo 2, superior to Watch Dogs Legion.
Honestly, no.
Listen, you haven't questioned. You said that the humor's spot on.
It is.
You're guaranteed the platinum. It's obviously not overstaying its welcome at only 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of complaints to just not great feelings about Watch Dogs.
You're not wrong.
Played.
You're not wrong.
From an objective standpoint, I'm going to say that you liked My Name is Mayo 2 more than you enjoyed your time with Watch Dog Legions.
Your line of thinking is flawless.
Thank you.
It's weird how we assign worth to things.
Yeah.
Because even though I had a much better experience with My Name is Mayo 2, in no way would I ever say that it's better than Watch Dogs Legion. Even though
maybe it is.
I hate Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah.
Right now, at least.
Isn't it? It's so strange that and that's one of the things, and we'll get into this a little bit more in depth whenever we get to Game Awards, especially Game of the Year. But value and just bigness doesn't have to mean that that's the best.
No.
You can have an underdog be the best. Maybe you draw a line whenever it comes to a 99-cent game versus a full AAA
There
game.
is a line there, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
See, but that's just there is a value proposition there, though.
Yeah.
99 cents was well worth it for my 45 minutes of enjoyment.
You for $1, you were entertained for an hour.
Sure.
Were you entertained for $1 an hour for Watch Dogs Legions?
No. First of all, it's not $60. So if we're playing the hour per dollar ratio, we're already off.
True.
But out of the 30 hours, 35 hours I put into Watch Dogs Legion, I was really enjoying 15 of them.
Oof. So that's it's a $60 game or no?
Yeah.
So that's $4 an hour for enjoyment.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Math checks out. My Name is Mayo 2 is in every way, shape, and form a superior game.
Numbers don't lie. Lie. But that's what I've been up to. I am very close to finishing my first run through of Spider-Man. I did beat the campaign, but there are a few side missions I still have to wrap up. And then to get the platinum trophy, I have to play the campaign one more time. But all of the stuff carries over from the first playthrough, so it's going to go a lot quicker, and you can skip cutscenes. Sure. I don't think I am. I think maybe I'm going to play the whole thing just straight through again because it's so short. And it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, if it's only 8 hours, that's realistically two play sessions. That's not bad at all.
It's just like everything from what I talked about with Spider-Man 3 years ago now, with how they made you feel like Spider-Man is still there. It's just that the tone is totally flipped to feel the ultimate Spider-Man vibe for Miles.
Sure.
It's just so cool. It's probably honestly one of the coolest games I've ever played.
All right.
As the hip kids would say.
Those young bloods.
That's actually what his uncle calls him in the game.
A young blood?
Young blood, yeah.
There you go. Old men.
So that I'm gonna wrap that up, and then it'll be on to Bug Snacks. You can quit your bitching. Bug Snacks is next.
Thank you. Finally.
Bug Snacks is next, and then I will complete Bug Snacks and move on to Cyberpunk probably. Although I do want to play the Pathless. The Pathless is that game. I think that we saw it at a Nintendo Direct a while ago. It was either a Nintendo Direct
too. The title sounds very familiar.
It was either a Direct or it was that Gamescom thing that Jeff Keighley did a while ago. It's that game that
it might have been both. There were a couple that
it might have been
Nintendo showed off that were kind of lackluster.
It's the one with the bird. Do you remember the one with the bird? It looked kind of generic, like almost Breath of the Wild-y, but there was that bird that was following you around the whole time.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's that game. It apparently reviewed very well, and there are people that I trust that say it's a great indie game. So that is something that
on Metacritic.
Yeah, that's something that I want to pick up. It'll depend on how fast I get through Bug Snacks and when.
Sure.
Like how much time between.
You can't rush that kind of perfection.
Sure. It'll depend on how much time I have between that and Cyberpunk on whether or not I pick up Pathless next, or if that'll be like a January kind of thing.
Sure.
So let's move on to topic of the show.
Oh boy.
Watch Dogs Legion beat me. It destroyed me. Like, okay, I've had trophies glitch on me before, several times.
Yeah.
It's never a great feeling. Because it's like I spent all this time and I know I did it, but I don't have the stupid little digital marker that indicates that I did it. And then that happened not only once, but 4 times on 4 different trophies for 4 different issues. It destroyed me. I felt like that happened to be at like 10:30 p.m. I went to bed dejected, woke up still pissed off the next morning. And it's just like that forever soured the taste of Watch Dogs in my mouth.
It's ruined. Yeah, you can't really go back from that.
Like that game beat me. I was having a great time with it, and then it just destroyed me in the end. So I want to talk tonight about the games that beat you. That can be however you want to interpret it. It could be a game that you physically could not beat, like it was too difficult. It could be a game that you just hate for whatever reason, or a game that just pissed you off, or whatever it is. But well, let's tonight talk about the games that beat us.
Boy, oh boy, do I have a list for this.
I already talked about Legion quite enough. I have 3 others to talk about.
Let me go through. Let's see if I can organize these by like some kind of category. I guess
I might have others too, as you say stuff.
Sure. Well, I'll start with the one that I kind of hinted at earlier, and that is Fallout 3. Played it a whole bunch. Got to here's the thing. I don't even know if I got to the Knights of Brotherhood or the Knights of Steel or whoever the hell they are.
Brotherhood
the big
of Steel.
Tank,
you were close.
Yeah, the big tank men.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I just got to them because I was lost.
That happens, yeah.
Or if I like actually got to that point in the story. Because I'm told that if I got to that point in the story, that I was pretty far along. Again, I didn't beat the game, so I don't know.
Sure.
My big issue was that at some point very early on, they introduced the VAT system where you go from just running around as a first-person shooter kind of thing, or was it third-person shooter? I forget.
First or third. I think it was both.
Okay. I think I went with first. Regardless, you can switch between that and then all of a sudden hitting the, I don't know, fancy button on your watch or something. And you just stop time and you can be like, okay, I want to shoot here, 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 and here. And like, I think you get a percentage like success rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that never happened for me. I I missed out on that lesson.
I'm pretty sure it happens literally like at the very beginning of the game.
I remember shooting big cockroach things.
I think it happens before you come out of the vault.
Yeah, no, I remember that I think they were rad roaches, is that right?
Sounds right.
They're like really big cockroaches, like you shoot them in the vault before you have to like get out.
Right.
I think that's when it happened. I just did not realize that was going to be like
Crucial.
an important part of the game. I thought that it was like, hey, if you want to play it like this cuz you're weird and you don't want to play a first person shooter, go ahead and try it. And I was like, "No, I'm good. I'll free aim. Thanks."
And that was back in Fallout 3 land where sure it was a first person shooter, but was it though?
Yeah.
No. Like Fallout 4 was better in a lot of ways. Fallout 4 like the gunplay actually felt pretty good, but Fallout 3 that was not
Fallout 3's gunplay was bad.
It was just bad. Yeah.
It was
If you were trying
bad.
to play it like Call of Duty or Halo, it was not that game.
Yeah, and that's what I tried to play it like Halo where I have a precision weapon and I don't waste bullets, but like unless you're using the VAT system, you are wasting bullets by definition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like find a super mutant and be like, why can't I A, kill this guy? B, like I ran out of all my bullets. What happened? So, yeah, needless to say, I put that down. Never looked back.
It's
To
probably
this day, it remains on my shelf.
So I played Fallout 3 for a while. I never owned it. It was one of those games I rented a couple times.
Sure.
I did get the plat for Fallout 4. I never played New Vegas, which is most people's favorite Fallout game.
Yeah.
I feel like I would maybe go back to that if there was a remaster at some point. But after my experience with Fallout 4, I just kind of get and this is probably blasphemy. There are a lot of people out there that are going to be very upset with me. I'm sorry. Please don't stop listening to the podcast. We can agree to disagree.
You might want to tune out now because it's just going to get worse.
I don't really feel like that series is that great.
Yeah.
Like Bethesda. Okay. Bethesda Game Studios is built up by two properties, Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yes.
I recognize like how both of those properties have moved games forward in a lot of ways. And I am undoubtedly excited for Starfield and for the Elder Scrolls 6 whenever it finally comes out.
Yeah.
But like people hold those games up as though they're like the crown achievement of games. And I just don't see it. I don't see it.
No, they're not.
Even Skyrim. Skyrim was great. Skyrim was like a huge leap forward for open world storytelling, especially when it comes to fantasy RPG games like that. I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying when you compare that to other games, it's just not the superlative. It's not.
No. And I mean, granted, there's obviously, but this comes with the territory of trying to name something best. It's all going to come back to personal bias.
Yeah.
If you tend to lean towards games that are heavily story driven, yeah, you might not enjoy the giant open world game that has a pretty good story, but like isn't nearly as story driven as a more linear game is going to be, obviously. But that's just the way that's going to work based on the type of game it is.
Just a lot of the gameplay. The gameplay is the thing for me. Like,
yeah,
the sword play in Elder Scrolls does not feel good. Like the gunplay in Fallout does not feel good.
Yeah,
there are other games that do that better.
They're very bad at what they do in that case.
I don't want to turn this into a Bethesda bashing because I love Bethesda. Don't get me wrong, I love Bethesda. I love a lot of their games. Don't don't take the words out of my mouth. I just don't think that those two series in particular are the city on the hill that most people think they are.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's see. Is there anything else on my list that is I don't know. Should I go with some more of mine?
How many do you have?
9.
Oh my. Yeah, you do. I'll do one.
Although that includes the Fallout, so.
Oh, okay. I'll do, yeah, you
Um,
do another one and I'll sparse out mine in between your two.
So here's one that's going to piss you off. You specifically, Josh.
Bah.
Oh my god, my dog has no, please. Okay. She wrapped my my headphone cord around her nose.
She's starting to bite it.
No, she just had it completely wrapped around and started to turn her head, and it was either me or my computer that was going to go, and I'd rather it be me. Anyways, here's a game that I know it's my fault, and I haven't given it the chance that it deserves, but I will get another chance to give it another chance very soon. And that is the Mass Effect series. I tried playing Mass Effect 1 probably in 2016 and just could not get into it. I don't know if it was just because it was so dated at that point or what. Plus, I'd heard basically everybody that I talked to about it said, you're probably going to want to just jump straight into Mass Effect 2. And I was like, I don't want to do that because I know that there's that little recap thing you can do to get you caught up on the story, but that feels like cheating. Like
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Sure.
I want to get the full experience. I played Assassin's Creed 1 2 times in a row back in the day. Like I can deal with some things that aren't great. I couldn't for this.
I understand, especially, so what year was this?
What year was that I played it?
Yeah.
I tried playing it in 2016, I believe, because it was around the time I was going to graduate college.
Okay.
And when did it come out? 2008?
2007 or 2008. Yeah.
So it had been almost 10 years. I don't know if it was the gameplay, if I just didn't get far enough in the story to get fully immersed. I don't have like a specific pinpointed reason as to what broke me.
Sure.
But at one point, not too far into it, I was just like, this is not for me. I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not going to put myself through even 10 more hours of this to get a completion of a game.
Sure. I think that it's definitely very dated. Mass Effect 1 is much more dated than Mass Effect 2 was.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of it might stem from the gameplay for you. Like,
probably.
Because I think that this is a total guess, but I think that a lot of the gameplay, as far as the gunplay goes, falls into the same camp that Fallout 3's did, where it's like you can't play it like Call of Duty, you can't play it like Halo. It's not a shooter; it's an RPG that has guns in it.
Yeah.
So from
what? Yeah, that's 100% what it is, because I didn't even put this game on the list, but I had that same issue, and I hate it because I want to like this game, but I had the same exact issue with was it Knights of the Old Republic? Was that the like RPG-esque one?
That was an RPG. Yeah, there were characters that had blasters in it. Yeah. But that was...
And it was kind of turn-based, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was like a weird combat system where it wasn't turn-based, but it wasn't like hack and slash either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same feeling that I got from playing Mass Effect 1, I got from playing Knights of the Old Republic.
That would make sense since there's a common studio between those two things.
Yeah.
BioWare, you might just not like. Well, if you like Dragon Quest, right? Or Dragon Age.
No, that's another one.
I think you just don't like BioWare. I think you should just maybe say BioWare is something that's not your cup of tea.
Maybe. However, like I said, this is all years ago at this point. So I am 100% going to give Mass Effect another crack at it whenever this is it a remaster that's coming out?
Yes.
Okay. Whenever the remaster comes out, I will give it another honest go.
I
Because
think
I have grown as a person, I
that's
think.
that's the thing is I think that our taste in games is much different than even when we first graduated college or were in college.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you told me in like I don't know, late high school years, early college years that I would put a side-scrolling Metroidvania game as one of my top 10 games of all time, also that it was not a Metroid game, I'd be like, "What what are you talking about?"
Sure. The next game for me that broke me was another Ubisoft game called Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Assassin's Creed 4 is another game that a lot of people love. I think it's most people's favorite Assassin's Creed game. It's either 4 or 2 for most people. Although now I think a lot of people like Odyssey too. And Valhalla seems to be reviewing well. I guess Assassin's Creed is just like a good series that a lot of people like now.
Yeah, a lot of people herald it as a very good overall series.
Black Flag did the same thing to me that Watch Dogs Legion did, where I played through the whole game. I got all the trophies. I made sure that I was 100%ing all of the like extra mission constraints to get the best score or whatever for each chapter.
Yeah.
And then that trophy just didn't pop. There's a trophy for doing all of the extra constraints. So like in one chapter, they might say, okay, you can't have any alarm bells ring during this mission or whatever.
Yeah. I remember those. They were like little optional to fully get the memory.
Exactly. Yeah. To get full synchronization with your ancestor, you had to do these certain things.
Listen, your ancestor didn't fuck up, so you can't either.
Exactly. So I made sure I did all of them.
Yeah.
Then the trophy didn't pop. And once again, this experience that was like 30 hours long and was for the most part positive, just completely soured.
Yeah.
Total bummer. That was back, that would have been in like 2015 maybe. No, 2014, I think. And that was like the first time that I ever like stopped playing a game like that because of an issue that I had with a trophy. I think before that, because that was like that wasn't the start of my trophy hunting journey, but that was maybe a year in or so. So I was at that point no longer a greenhorn. I was like a professional, not a master yet, but I was like, I was a seasoned trophy hunter at that point.
Yeah.
And up until then, I had never had an issue with the trophy popping, but that was the first time it happened. And in order for me to get that particular trophy again, I would have had to have replayed the entire game and do all of the optional mission shit, which some of those were really annoying. It's like some of these trophies, the ones that, unfortunately, the trophies that don't pop are usually the ones that are the most annoying to do.
They're the toughest. Yeah. It's not like, hey, go get a killing spree in Halo. It's like, oh, okay, easy.
And I think that what it is, and I can't prove this, and I've seen other people mention it before. I think that the issue is that Ubisoft quietly ties a lot of their trophies to their online tracking system.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called Uplay, I think, or Ubisoft Play or whatever.
It was Uplay.
Now it's called Ubisoft Connect. And if you go into that Ubisoft Connect app or on the PS4 or the PS5, it opens up a browser tab and you can see your score or whatever and the optional mission challenges, and you get like a certain kind of currency and you can spend that currency on like, sometimes there's skins or stuff you can buy that are
usually
stupid.
Cosmetic stuff.
Sure. In that Uplay system, there are trackers for a lot of these things. And they're all wrong. I checked this with Watch Dogs Legion. The Dart one, it said that I had collected less than half of them, even though I collected all of them. I'm pretty sure that they go in and they secretly tie some of these trophies to their Uplay thing, and then Uplay doesn't work correctly because it's French or whatever, and then the trophy doesn't pop. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed was like the first time that ever happened to me. Black Flag. That was the first time this ever happened to me where I didn't get a trophy and it soured the whole experience, which is not healthy. I recognize that's not a great thing. Like the gameplay was good, but this arbitrary thing that I assign worth to
Ruined it.
ruined it. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny you should put Assassin's Creed on that list because it's also on my list. Although it's in my list in a kind of different way. So for me, it was Assassin's Creed 3. And the game itself I completed, but that broke me from the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Mm, mm.
I had a great time with 1, I had a great time with 2, had a great time with Brotherhood. Revelation started to feel a little stale. 3, I was like, no, I am not having, like, this is not fun. They changed a bunch of things in, I think, negative ways. Like, I liked, and I know that it was like stupidly easy to do it this way, but in like 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations, the way that you could like passively earn money was ridiculously easy. I forget exactly what you had to do. I think it was just like you spend money to make money, basically. Like if you unlock stuff, your monthly
Oh yeah,
income
yeah.
went up.
Yeah.
But then in 3, they were like, no, you have to send out junior assassins on these missions, and like it costs money to send them, and it costs money once they're back, and like it became so complicated, and I was like, I don't want to. This isn't passive anymore. This is active management. Like, please don't make me do this to be able to afford better equipment so that I can then play the main game.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that at all.
They also included like there was now like hunting,
Yeah.
and like you needed to hunt to upgrade your equipment, and that was just like a bridge to, like, that was totally unnecessary to add in there.
Yeah.
And it detracted from the experience.
And like I wasn't, and this might just be because like we had an American schooling system education. The story seemed a little less than like believable, I guess. Like none of them are really that believable. But some of the things that they were having historically significant characters do, I was just like, hold up. Time out. What? Like you can have Leonardo da Vinci do whatever you want. I don't know that much about him. You're telling me Ben Franklin, like, I don't know, hijacked a cart to smoke a bunch of weed? Time out.
Hold
What?
up. This is wrong.
So like I get that I might have a incorrect education on some historical things that happened, or at least like the way that I learned them was taught in a way that might not have been like the right way. It's kind of like the whole like Columbus Day and like Thanksgiving stuff where yeah, if you grow up in a middle class education system, you're going to find out that oh, the Pilgrims and the Indians got along just fine. They had Thanksgiving. Not really how it happened in real life historically, but again, I don't know how much of it is that and how much of it was creative liberties taken by the Ubisoft team.
That's the thing, is that it just, and then you layer on top the of like the present day story of that game specifically, the way that it ends. It just like,
Yeah.
it seemingly just threw everything away that like you were building to over the last 5 games, because it's Assassin's Creed 3, but really it's the fucking
it's
fifth
really
game.
Assassin's Creed 5, yeah. But yeah, the whole present day thing where you have it was 5, yeah, because it was 1, then 2, then Brotherhood, then Revelations, and then 3. Yeah, the whole present day thing, I honestly completely forgot about that, but that was a giant just kick in the teeth after this game had just floored you.
Sure.
And it's like, really? You're gonna do this now?
Right.
I still don't know what happens in the present day to this day because I have not
No
touched an
one
Assassin's
does.
Creed game.
I played all of them, and it's like they've made no progress. There's nothing that's happened in the last 5 years in the present day. Nothing.
So I have a question, and this is if you're worried about spoilers for Assassin's Creed 3. Oh,
Honk honk.
I hear a little dog. Please don't. Anyway, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played a like 10-year-old game. Is is Desmond still dead?
Yeah, he's dead. He's
Did
super
he come
dead.
back?
No, super dead.
He 100% is dead.
Yeah.
At the end of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so he dies, and then in like the next 3 games, you play as just an unknown person. That is,
I thought
like,
I heard about that. That you're like a Templar agent.
I don't think you're even a Templar.
Somebody.
No, I think that you're just like a dude that works at Abstergo. And like you're looking through and you're getting directions from, I don't remember their names now, but the present day assassins that were with Desmond.
Yeah.
There was a girl and a guy, and the guy was like kind of annoying, and the girl I don't remember anything about.
I think there were 2 girls, right? Because
there was what's her name? So yeah, there were 2 girls and a guy.
Blondie,
not her,
who was with you for the whole series,
Sure.
and then I think betrayed you at some point.
No, she. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
You betrayed her. I think one of you stabbed the other.
you're a nobody basically in the next
Yes.
like 3 games, and then in man, I don't remember now if it was Origins or Odyssey. But in one of them, you become a new character. And I think that that's the character you play as in Valhalla as well. So there is now a new main character that has taken over for Desmond. But yes, Desmond is super dead.
Okay, one more question, spoiler E. So what happened with that goddess with the apple who was like, hey, I'm going to destroy the world, like, right now?
Gone. No, didn't
Okay.
happen. Hera's just nowhere to be found. Have not heard anything since
Does
then.
everybody still want the apple? Is that still a thing? Is the apple still around?
I don't know. And this is where I fall off, and let me go to my next one now, because my next one is Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Sure.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey broke me. And I think that actually some of these questions were answered at least a little bit, or at least touched on, maybe not answered, but they talked about it in Odyssey, especially in some of the DLC that happened.
Okay.
I just could not get through Odyssey. This was an example of a game that I could not get through, not because of trophies, but because the game just beat me down with how much there was to do in the game. And none of it was fun. The game had so much to do, and none of it I wanted to do at all.
Like a big list of chores.
And I get that is a very me problem. I could have just mainlined the story. That is something I could have done.
You could have done the 10-hour story completion, left the other 90 untouched.
But then it's like there's all this left that's just hanging out there. It's like, why is all of this in here? Make the maps smaller. Make this a more streamlined, like worthwhile experience. Don't make me go out and do the exact same mission 50 times, but it looks a little different every single time. Like that game, it was one of those things that I quit, and I actively quit it because there was way too much to do. It was one of those, like, I was paralyzed by the sheer volume of everything, I guess. What's that called? There's a term there where it's like you're paralyzed by the sheer amount of options that are available for you.
I forget what it is. I know that there's the paradox of choice, but I don't think that's entirely that. The paradox of choice is the more choices you have, like, the less free you feel.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think that's the paradox of choice.
It's like there were so many question marks everywhere. Yeah. You couldn't walk 2 feet without stumbling upon something. And it's like, it's a certain point, I just don't care. I don't want to have to deal with all of this.
Yeah. basically everything you're saying is exactly the same reason why I stopped playing Just Cause 2. Another just massive game. Except in this one, you don't have a choice because in order to get like new story missions unlocked, you have to cause more chaos. How you do that is up to you, but usually it involves just going around destroying random shit in a new little village that you find. Like destroy all the government stuff in one of the 800 little villages that dot this giant island. So this is very relatable. So I didn't beat it. I probably could have mainlined it if I wanted to. You just open the map and like you would zoom out and you'd be like, okay, there's not too many question marks around me, and then like you'd be like, oh wait, I only zoomed out of this tiny little province in this bigger county that is only 1/3 of the whole country, and it's like, oh God,
why? I really hope that is something that is going to be addressed this generation, because it has not. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
But I really feel like circa 2015 or 2016, especially with Ubisoft games, but we see this with other open world games, like you just said, Just Cause. Everybody was so fixated on having a giant map. And like, we want a huge open world in the style of GTA 4 and in the style of Skyrim. We want this huge experience for you to play in. It's your sandbox. It's an open world. Go wherever you want. Do whatever you want.
The internet was rampant with map size comparison pictures where they'd be like, here's the size of Legend of Zelda Hyrule Field from Ocarina of Time. Here's the size of Skyrim. Now here's the size of this new game.
Right.
It's 8 times bigger than Skyrim, which was 100 times bigger than Zelda. And it's like, that's not necessarily good.
No, because what started to happen was they create. So let's say like GTA 4, they created New York, and it was like the first, like, I guess GTA 3 was also in New York, but like the GTA 4 version of New York City was probably the first like realistic version of it. Like
where you felt like it's the size of Manhattan or something.
Right. Like the Manhattan felt like what you would think Manhattan would feel like in terms of size. And not only did Manhattan exist, but Brooklyn and Queens and
the Bronx.
I think the Bronx was in it, and then I think Staten Island was also in it.
Okay.
And like you could go to all those places and it felt different, and like it felt like a realistic interpretation of New York City. Whereas if you go back to GTA 3, it just was a city. Like, maybe there were some landmarks that you recognized, but it didn't feel like you were there. The cartography didn't match up.
Yeah. You saw a couple landmarks, but otherwise it's just generic city.
Sure. But if you go back and look at GTA 4, there was nothing to do in that city. You could go bowling because your cousin insisted on going bowling every 5 minutes. And I think there were bars where you could go and get drunk, and there was something else you could do. But like the available things to do in the city was very small in terms of actual side content. And then people who are not Rockstar Games started to make maps that were that size, and they didn't have stuff to do in them, but they also weren't very like good maps. Like you look at GTA, or you look at Assassin's Creed Black Flag's map, and you have this ocean and you have all of these islands, but when you really look at the side content that's available on those islands, there's not very much there.
Sure.
So the map size just kept getting bigger, and then these developers feel like they need to fill it, but then they fill it with filler stuff. It's not worthwhile stuff. It's filler. It's not good.
It's not what you want.
So I hope that this generation we reconcile that in some way. Either just make the map smaller, or you're going to have to put more time into the actual stuff that's taking place. Or just don't put that stuff there. Like, it's okay if there's not a ton of stuff to do.
Your game doesn't... not every game needs to be a 300-hour game. We don't need The Witcher 3 from every single studio.
No. Watch Dogs Legion is a perfect example of this. Why the fuck is there a darts minigame in this game?
Yeah.
What is the point of that? I did not buy this game to play darts, let alone to play darts in 21 different locations in the game. That's not something I signed up to do. Totally waste. A total waste.
R.I.P.
So I only have one more.
Okay, I've got
We're also running long, but that's okay.
I've got a couple more, but like I can boil them down very, very easily. So let me run through two real quick. The first one is, and I think I have the name right, and the only reason I ever played this was because it was free on Xbox Games with Gold. And that was, I believe it's called The Adventures of Van Helsing.
Sounds like a game.
It looked, I mean, one, it was free, and I think I was in college, and I was like, yes, free is the perfect price to me. It looked Diablo-esque, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. It was not good. It was a subpar Diablo, basically, in my view of it. I don't know if maybe I was playing the game wrong or what, but like I just did not have fun with it. I didn't understand the story. I had no idea what was going on. And it just wasn't a good time, basically, at the end of the day. It was a free game that I got, that I tried, and I was like, nah, this just is not clicking. I'm putting this down.
Do you still download every single free game on Xbox Live Gold or
No.
PS Plus?
No.
Neither do I. I started doing that at the beginning of the last generation. And then by like year 4, when I was pretty secure with my income and like I had discretionary income to waste on shit like video games, it became, why am I downloading this? I am never going to play Broforce. Why did I download Broforce?
I don't know. I feel you though, because I did that at the start as well, and then I realized I was downloading games, and like I would have a library of games. I would always skip right past 60 of them every single time, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I building this imaginary library of things that I will never touch?
I will never need this.
Yeah. It's only come back to bite me like once, and it didn't even actually come back to bite me. I was just an idiot and didn't realize that I had it like in my, because usually I will download it and I'll just keep it because it's not that big of a game, and I have an external hard drive for my Xbox at least. But like at one point I was like, oh, I want to play Ori. I never played Ori. I've heard great things about this game. Turns out I did have it. It was just one of the 3 games that I had gotten but didn't download, and I was like, well, you know what? They can have my money. That's fine. Anyways, the next game on my list is one that I was having a good time with. I think I pushed myself a little too hard, and it was a very thinky game. And that is Baba Is You. Played it earlier this year. It's a very, very unique, very cool little puzzle game. As puzzle games go, it got more and more challenging the further along you went. And I think I just played for too long, too consistently, and just my brain turned to mush, and I was like, no, this hurts to play now. I can't do this. If I had broken it up, might be a different story. But I didn't. So here we are.
The Witness is like that too.
It'd be fun to go back and play, but I might have accidentally burned that bridge.
Yeah, with puzzle games like that, you have to give yourself time to breathe.
Yeah.
But it's hard because it's like when you play video games, you typically, maybe not everyone is like this, but I want to play for big chunks of time.
Yeah.
And like
you want to be immersed.
Right. And when I can't do that, when like it's literally impossible to do that, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Good game, really clever. I burned myself out on accident.
My last game, this is embarrassing. The last game that broke me was Jack 2 on the PlayStation Vita.
Interesting.
I did not play the Jak and Daxter series on PS2. My brother had it growing up, but I had never played it. And I obviously knew, that's a big part of PlayStation's history. It was Naughty Dog's franchise for the better part of the PS2 for all of the PS2 generation, actually. And so when I got my Vita and there's a bunch of PS2 games on it, I was like, I'll play Jak to see what this is like. Platinum Jak and Daxter, that was a pretty good 3D platformer. Not my cup of tea usually. It was fine though. Jak 2, mostly fine. Except that there are vehicles in it. And the vehicles control terribly. At least on the Vita. Playing that game on Vita, the vehicles controlled terribly. And I am not proud to admit that I got frustrated. And I did not chuck it, but I may have tossed my Vita out of my hands. And the screen may or may not have cracked after I tossed it out of my hands due to frustration. And so I broke my first PlayStation Vita. And I could not play that game anymore because my Vita was busted. Then I bought another Vita and I never downloaded it again because I did not want to have that conversation, or I did not want to have that happen a second time, rather.
Yeah.
So Jak 2 literally broke me because I broke my console.
Yeah. That's about as far as you can take this topic. So I've got two more. I don't really remember why I stopped one of them. And it's disappointing. I think it was just because it was just a bad game. And it's sad because it's a beloved series of mine. Metroid The Other M, not good. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something about that game just did not have fun. And I gave it a honest shot. I think I got to like the halfway point, at least after talking to friends who did get through the game. It just was not clicking with me. I forget exactly what the reasoning was, but oy. Especially going from a series like Metroid Prime, which was really fun, to this, it was no fun. But the last game, and I do remember in vivid detail what broke me about this game, was COD 4.
Really?
And here's the problem. I was, much like yourself, very into getting achievements. And so whenever it came to difficulty achievements,
sure,
I was like, I'm just going to go for the hardest difficulty because then I'll get all the achievements at once. And I'm good at #gaming. I can do this. I can beat it on veteran. No. I got to the I forget what like mission it's called. I remember that there's a Ferris wheel and you're in like, I think Russia. Yes. It was snowing. There was a Ferris wheel. I think maybe it was in like Chernobyl or something.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for a helicopter to come pick you and your sergeant up in the ghillie suit. Couldn't do it.
Too tough.
Spent hours trying to do it. I don't know if it was just a too tough kind of thing or if it was a, hey, you put yourself in a really bad position and got a really shitty checkpoint kind of thing.
Sure.
Because I think that happened too, where it was like, if I don't turn around at the start of a reload, I'm going to get eaten by dogs.
Sure. I want to take a quick second to acknowledge we got a little bit donation here from Mr. Johnny Jenkins. Cheered, looks like 35 bits. Asking, was that my first bits? No, it was not. But it's very much appreciated. I love when cents get chucked at me, at us. It's a great time.
Throw them.
Love
it.
See,
You love to see it.
I did not finish COD 4 on the 360. However, I did platinum COD 4 remastered on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I feel like it was maybe just easier than the original was. I don't know that for sure. The one that gave me trouble though was the last mission. It wasn't.
I've heard about the last mission.
I
Is it
forget
the
what
one where
it's
you're on the
called.
plane?
Yes. You're on the
Yeah.
plane and you have to beat it in like 45 seconds or something.
Yeah, you have to basically memorize exactly what's going to happen in those 45 seconds. Or else you're dead.
I think I didn't cheese it, but I think that I watched a video of somebody doing it before I did it and just copied exactly what they did.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But yeah, that was a frustrating one for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'm very glad that I have since moved on past the try to get every achievement, every trophy mindset, because I would basically ruin games for myself by playing them for stuff like that instead of playing it with like just a mindset of enjoying it.
Sure.
Maybe not playing it on the hardest difficulty, but like playing it on something that was challenging enough to be engaging.
I'm just glad
it even told me, it was like, hey, you can lower the difficulty to the second highest instead.
When it starts to feel bad for you.
Yeah, when it's like, hey, you've died repeatedly at this for 3 hours now. Do you want to go from veteran to hardcore? It's still hardcore. Like, you're still cool. And I was like, no, I need the achievement. That's what this is about.
Right. I am glad that, at least with most of the games that I've played, and I'm pretty good about playing new releases, achievements like that have mostly gone away.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what Mass Effect Remaster's trophies are going to look like. Because the trophies for the first 3 games were not good. You had to play Mass Effect 1. I think to platinum it, you had to play it at least 4 times.
Oh, because you have to choose if you're like Paragon or Rogue, right?
Well, there was that where you have to get Max Paragon in one playthrough and Max Renegade in another playthrough. But then there are also extra difficulty levels that you unlock by beating the game. So like you beat the game the first time.
Hey, you beat it on spicy. Now beat it on now play it on volcano difficulty.
Sure. And then, okay, now you beat it on volcano difficulty, so now you get to play it on sun difficulty. Okay, now you beat it on sun difficulty, now you have to beat it on supernova difficulty.
Yeah.
I think it happened like 2 or 3 times. Want to thank, once again, Mr. Johnny Jenkins for the subbed to the channel. Thank you for that tier 1 sub, sir. It's much appreciated.
Yeah.
Do you have any other games that beat you?
For me, no, I think that's pretty much it. At least that I can remember.
Okay. So let's move on real quick. We'll get through some of these news stories before we wrap up the podcast. Let's start with 343, who has been pretty much quiet since, what's his name, Craig?
That sounds right.
No, who do you think Craig is?
Wait, what?
Who do you think Craig is?
Just the guy who left, right? The guy who was in charge?
No.
Oh, no.
The poorly textured brute. You know the picture of the
They named him Craig?
I'm pretty sure they named that guy that brute Craig, yeah.
Canon or the internet
No,
did?
No, the internet did. Yeah.
Okay.
Ever since Craig, though, I think 343's been quiet.
Can you imagine if 343 had named him Craig? If that was canon, they were like, you must defeat this brute leader, Craig.
Craig the Brute. No, so ever since that whole debacle with the Halo Infinite textures, 343 has pretty much been quiet after they announced the delay. And we got a little bit of an update here. Really, it's not an update so much as it is an announcement of an update that is going to happen sometime in the future. So on the weekly discussion thread in the Halo subreddit, Brian Gerard, who is the community director for 343 Industries, made a little comment on it. He said, right now we're still going through the huge cascade of implications and ramifications to the release shift, and the team is heads down working through nearly every facet of the game. Full disclosure, we don't have anything planned for the VGAs, that's the Game Awards, but are hoping to offer at least a high-level update within the next few weeks so we can kind of restart this journey together after the holidays. Pulling together something like a demo or big beat for the VGAs is an enormous amount of work and would cause challenges with current milestones of the holidays. I know it's hard to wait, but the team is going to make the most of this extra time, and we want to make sure that we can put our best foot forward and commit to the greater transparency and dialogue on the road ahead. We'll get there and get the train going again. So this came as a response to somebody saying, oh, maybe they'll be at the Game Awards. They're not going to be at the Game Awards. Don't expect Halo to be at the Game Awards.
You know the internet's going to be like, oh, this is a ruse. They're trying to blindside us by saying that they won't be there.
I'm a little concerned when he says we are hoping to offer a high-level update within the next few weeks so we can, quote, restart this journey together after the holidays.
Yeah.
What does
the
that
word
mean?
Restart is not a word you want to hear around the time a game was supposed to release.
No, what does restart mean? Are we talking like Metroid Prime 4 hard restart? Because they fired the game director and brought in a new person. What is happening with 343? I guess we will find out in the next several weeks with this high-level update. But like I don't think it's a full hard reset. I don't think that. But this could now be a 2022 game.
Yeah, easily.
Like I don't think it's coming out in the spring. I think it could be fall, and I think that fall could be pushed to spring.
I could see it. Yeah, especially depending on how long it takes things like in the real world to go back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah. Like if you bring in a totally different game director and you're looking to change the look of the game or maybe how the game plays, like they delayed the game. There's clearly something wrong with it other than the graphical nature.
Yeah.
So that's concerning. But I guess we'll see here in a few weeks what that really means. Speaking of the Game Awards,
I just hope that they don't make the mistake of just constantly delaying a game and then making the expectations ridiculously high. Like at some point, it's better to just cut your losses, release it, have it be mediocre.
Well, okay,
the expectations aren't.
Let's have a thought exercise. What would happen if that happened? Like, so 343 released Halo 4. Mm-hmm. It came out to decent reviews. Had a huge hype train going for Halo 5. Which then, I guess before that, they released the Master Chief Collection, which is a total clusterfuck for 2 years or however long it takes for them to fix that game. Now it's great. But when it launched, it was a trash heap.
It was not great. Yeah, they gave me ODST for free to say sorry.
And then Halo 5 comes out to very mediocre reviews in the campaign department. Halo Infinite was supposed to be them getting back on track. If it comes out and it's not them getting back on track, what happens?
They need to seriously address the 343 Industries as a whole. Because the series so far of 4, 5, and Infinite would have been under 343's authority. If you have 3 flops on your major first-party flagship, clearly the studio that you're using to do it isn't delivering.
Sure.
So I don't know if that would be leadership change, if that would be bringing in other people from studios that you do know will do it like the way that you want it to be done. I'm not sure exactly how that would play out, but something major has to change. And maybe that's why the creative lead is gone.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw it and they did preliminary tests with certain people, some kind of beta tests, and got the same reactions that they got from 4 and 5, in which case...
Uh-oh,
indeed.
Yeah. They can't afford to have that game flop.
Yeah. I don't know what's worse though, having it flop or delaying it, having it come out and being still not a 10 out of 10.
Like having it be an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, like in theory, what could very well happen with Cyberpunk in a couple weeks.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know what's worse for you at that point. Because at least if it comes out and it's mediocre, you're not wasting an entire year on something that's still not going to bring back your franchise.
Sure. Next story came this, I guess it was yesterday. Jeff Keighley and the good people over the Game Awards finally announced the 2020 nominees for this year's award show, which takes place on December 10th. And here's the article from Polygon's. They got their write-up over... this write-up is over on Polygon, coming from Owen Good. The Last of Us Part 2 gathered 10 nominations, including a Game of the Year nod to lead all nominees for the Game Awards 2020, announced on Wednesday. The 5 other video games tapped for Game of the Year also carried nominations in multiple categories, including the indie hit Hades, with 9 overall. Hades, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Final Fantasy VII Remake were all nominated for Game of the Year, as well as all 3 major development categories: game direction, narrative, and art direction. The other 2 Game of the Year nominees, Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons, took 4 and 3 nominations respectively. In all, 75 different games were nominated in 23 categories. Sony Interactive Entertainment is the most nominated publisher, picking up 22. The Game Awards said that that is second to the record-setting 23 nominations that Nintendo received in 2017. The Game Awards air on December 10th, 2020 on several live streaming services and platforms. The show will broadcast in a virtual format this year due to pandemic restrictions, with segments airing live from Hollywood, London's historic Abbey Road studios, and other cities. Host Jeff Keighley said in Wednesday's announcement that the Game Awards Symphony would also appear.
Why are they having an appearance in London at Abbey Road Studios?
I think that they just wanted to make the Game Awards feel more universal.
And maybe like a little break from the bleak reality that is
right
every day for most gamers.
Yeah, because it's always been an in-person event in LA.
Sure.
And
which is why I get Hollywood.
Sure. I think it's been difficult for them because game development is such a worldwide thing. Like, you're talking about, you got the 3 major publishers. 2 of those are in Japan.
Yeah.
Then you got a bunch of like the third-party publishers, and a lot of those are in Japan too. But then you also have a lot of the big nominees. Obviously, Cyberpunk's not this year, but CD Projekt's in Europe. There are a bunch of European studios. A lot of these indie developers are European. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to have everything in the US all the time, basically.
That's true. Yeah.
So spreading it out, having it be, kind of a more worldwide show, I think appeals to more people. It also helps to legitimize the platform more as a definitive award kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's not just these are the US awards or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it.
Okay.
So the show takes place on December 10th. That is in 2 weeks. No, not 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. We will do our prediction episode on December 3rd, which is in 2 weeks. This is probably a good time to figure out what we're doing next week.
Yeah, that's a good point. Since we switched to Thursdays, that is notoriously the day of the bird.
The day of the dumb big bird that we as Americans eat every year. Do you want to do this on Wednesday or Tuesday? So I'd like to still have a podcast next week since we lost last week.
I think Tuesday would be better for me.
So
Let me get back to you after the podcast, but I want to say Tuesday's going to be better.
Okay. So for those of you listening along, plan theoretically for a podcast on Tuesday. And then next week after that, Thursday the 3rd, we will do the predictions episode for the Game Awards, and then on Thursday the 10th, we will co-stream the Game Awards on this channel. So there won't technically be a podcast the week of the 10th, but we will be live here on Twitch if you want to come hang out.
Yeah, bring a drink. Maybe we'll make a drinking game for those who are of age.
So I don't want to go through this whole list right now because we will do that in depth on the 3rd, but I'll go through maybe some of the big 5 categories here. Game of the year, we have Animal Crossing New Horizons, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. Best game direction is Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, The Last of Us Part 2. Best narrative is 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. Thank you for a nomination for that. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. Best art direction is Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. And then the best score and music, we have Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2.
Wow, it's almost like you only listed 7 games total.
Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Hades are going to mop up this year. Yeah. Those are the games that are going to win everything.
Yeah, a little bit. However, one of them could just win them all, and then...
Could be, that too.
Then everybody else is just a nominee for everything. We'll see. I do think that they won't let one game have them all.
Right, this is the mind game that we play. Because they have had years before where... what year was it? Like, Breath of the Wild won a bunch of categories.
That was, I think, 2017.
Right.
That was the year Nintendo had 23 nominations.
Right, because Breath of the Wild and Mario both came out that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will again do a deep, in-depth discussion on that on December 3rd. We will have all of our predictions for not only the winners of the categories, but also the secret surprises that Papa Jeff... Jeff's not Papa Jeff. Sorry, not Papa Jeff. Other Jeff. Mr. Keeley. What surprises... Mr. Keeley has for us.
Good Jeff? No.
Jeff,
is he good?
Yeah. I feel like Jeff Keeley is he's like man, what's the morality system in Dungeons and Dragons? Lawful.
Like lawful
I think Keeley is lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral. So he's dead center. I think that's where that takes place, right?
No, that's true neutral. Lawful neutral is, I guess, right in neutral?
Right in the middle?
He's not chaotic. He's lawful.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jeff Kaplan, who is Papa Jeff, he is the game director for Overwatch. Papa Jeff, I would peg him as chaotic neutral.
And you can't... I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about... what's the other Jeff's name, then?
The other Jeff?
The Dark Lord who rules us all.
Who?
Infinite Money Jeff.
Oh. What the fuck is that guy's name?
I mean, I know what his name is, but like, what's his title?
What's his last name? Because I don't remember. I don't know what
Bezos.
I remember it started with a B because of his billions of dollars. Bezos. Yeah. No, Jeff is.
Just wait. Now he's gonna change. He's gonna change it to Tezos now.
Oh, damn it!
You just made him gain $1 trillion.
Billionaire Bezos. Yeah. He, I don't know. Yeah, Dark Lord. Sounds about right.
Honestly, it's surprising that he hasn't bought the letter B. Just owns a letter of the, one out of the 26 fundamental building blocks of a human English language.
He just calls in his intern. Hey, I need you to figure out how I can buy a letter of the alphabet. You mean like on Jeopardy? No, not like on Jeopardy. No.
Wheel of Fortune.
Whatever. Yeah. You know what I meant.
No, I do.
I think that's a good place to stop. The other stories I had on here for news were just like general sales figures, and I use the word figures very softly for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. We only have Japanese numbers right now because Japan does reporting weird.
Sure.
And they actually report stuff. And right now, PlayStation 5 is, as you could imagine, vastly outselling Xbox Series X. But that is not at all indicative of what sales look like on a world level. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight with that is that Phil Spencer has come out and said that supply constraints are very real.
Oh, it's very apparent from just any person who tweets out deals on like video game stuff. They're not tweeting deals now. They're tweeting, "Hey,
there's a queue.
There's maybe stock, maybe if you want to wait in this internet queue for I don't know an hour."
Sure. So demand right now is not the issue; it's supply.
Yes.
And I will also say that I don't know why, but at least right now it seems like PlayStation has done a way better job at securing supplies, like securing enough like resources to build consoles.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot more. I see Wario64 tweeting a lot more PS5 availability from stores and online retailers than Xbox, like by a lot. Again, that could be nothing, but it really does seem like PlayStation somehow monopolized the market, the COVID market, like the ability to make consoles. It seems like they are making consoles at a pace that is higher than the Xbox.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that. And I guess I can't confirm that, but just from looking at how often these things are available on the major retailers and on the PlayStation Direct store, it's just like there's every single day there is new stock available that sells out in minutes, but it's there.
That's the thing. Who knows how much that new stock is? Like, it could just be a matter of they're releasing 1,000 units for sale at a time, whereas Xbox is doing it less frequently, but they're doing it at 10,000 increments or something.
Sure. Yeah, it's impossible to say.
Who knows how it is behind the scenes in the metrics, and we won't know for probably a while.
Yeah, and especially with COVID, like it's impossible to say. Even if we get sales numbers for the first quarter, like the earliest I would expect anything is around the holidays, like Black Friday. After Black Friday happens next week, like end of December, maybe early January, we'll get sales numbers for how at least analysts are thinking the console sold. Maybe we don't have actual figures, but we have probably pretty good approximations.
Yeah.
But again, even then, we're talking about a COVID restricted market. Phil Spencer in this article that I linked that I won't actually go to, but you can find it everywhere because it was quoted on pretty much every gaming news website. He said that there's really not going to be stock available until quarter 2, 2021, which we're talking about at that point like summertime.
Yeah.
So I think it won't be until like a year from now until we have a pretty clear picture of how the generation started.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we missed out on this week?
I mean, there was Nintendo did their classic Nintendo thing earlier and brought the ban hammer down. Oh, there were 2 Nintendo things. There just a whole shit wave for Nintendo today, actually. Did you see any of this stuff or no?
Are you talking about like the Nintendo claims on stuff?
Maybe?
Or the Animal Crossing stuff?
No.
Then go ahead. I don't
I'm talking purely negative things.
No. These were negative things. Like
100%.
them saying like Joe Biden's island is basically outlawed now.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they said you can't have politics in our games anymore. So
wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 other things that happened with Nintendo. One, they brought the ban hammer down on. There was like some kind of, I don't know exactly how you did it. You had to have this mod installed on your computer called Slippy, and it allowed you to play like after Slippy Frog, I think from Star Fox.
Yeah, it just
and it
yeah
no, I know it. it allowed you to play Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee online with other people. And so there was like this, I think it was called Big House.
Mm-hmm.
There was a giant like $100,000 tournament that was going to happen in, I think, very soon, like a week maybe.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was like, nah, you can't do that. This is pirating, even though we will not allow you a way to play this old game because A, the technology's outdated. B, we never put internet into the GameCube. C, you can't even buy TVs that would realistically play this anymore. Like, it's just as inaccessible as it can be at this point. And we're not going to put it on like any kind of digital shop. No, no,
Yeah.
thank you. So that sucks because it seems like there was a lot of it was a big labor of love from the fans to be able to make this thing happen and to like keep the Melee community going and alive, especially during a COVID world.
Yeah, it just seems so asinine.
Yeah. So that was one thing. And this is arguably worse, although I don't know if this is directly Nintendo's fault, although I'm sure it is. They as you know, Age of Calamity comes out tomorrow. However, in some parts of the world it is out already. I guess the game like leaked somehow, and so people were putting up videos early, like a couple days ago even, that were like spoiling things. So I think they went on like the hyper alert train and just started flagging everything. But I think that they forgot that Australia can now, like, there are people apparently in Japan and on Twitch or in Australia who have like been streaming it on Twitch in the last couple hours who got flagged, and I don't know if they're banned or if it's just like a temporary thing or what, but like they were flagged because they were playing a game that the US didn't have.
This is going to be a big issue this year, I think, is DMCA takedowns on Twitch and on YouTube and these other places. I think we're about to be at a crossroads for game streaming. We didn't talk about this on the podcast, and it's been covered at length if you pay any attention to gaming news. But Twitch issued a ton of takedown notices to its partners and affiliates over the last couple of weeks for people using music in their streams. And we've never had this issue because I pay for a Monster Cat Gold subscription, which allows us to stream their music, and I only play Monster Cat music. So we don't need to worry about that. But there are a lot of creators out there that have been using music. And the issue is that it's not just music. It takes it a step further because that music exists in games. So I'm playing Watch Dogs Legion, and Fuck You comes on the radio by Lily Allen. And theoretically, Lily Allen's record company could issue a DMCA strike on my channel because her song was on the radio on the car that I'm driving in Watch Dogs Legion. Nintendo has been terrible about this forever.
Didn't they say, I might have just misread this, but didn't Twitch basically say, hey,
just mute music.
Suggestions to get around this, just mute your stream.
Yeah. But that's not good enough. Like for all of the partners on Twitch, that's not a good response. And I know that they are lobbying Twitch right now to do something about this and to, put skin in the game. Again, not Papa Jeff, Evil Overlord Jeff has enough money to figure this out for the Twitch platform.
Yeah.
They're just choosing not to right now. This is going to be something big this year. If not this year, it's the reckoning is coming. Because this has been a big deal on YouTube forever. And
Nintendo's been bad about this for they've been the worst about it forever, and not just in terms of like music, just anything that's theirs.
Right. As it stands
there's
now,
a Mario video on YouTube. Nope, can't have that. Hate it. I was surprised whenever I learned that they had like an ambassador program. I was like, what does this mean? You have like people watching for these videos?
As it
Clearly,
stands now,
it's not creating.
Yeah, as it stands now, any game company can go out and pull down any video on YouTube or Twitch if people are playing that game. Nintendo can just go out and say, no, you know what? We're not letting you stream this. We're not letting you make videos of this. You can't have it. Doesn't matter if it's fair use or anything like that. Like, this is our game. You can't have it.
Yeah.
And right now, it's just that's how it works.
And going back to the Age of Calamity thing, like, it's one thing whenever people were playing a leaked version of the game and putting out content like up to a week before it formally launched.
You're breaking
That's fine.
You're breaking
Yeah.
NDAs there. You're breaking street dates and embargoes and that kind of stuff.
I get that, but whenever you then bring down the ban hammer on people who are have legally purchased and are playing it and just happen to be in like the first time zone to get access to it, but you don't think it through enough to like realize that that's what's happening, and you assume that they're all illegal copies, like, no, that's not what's happening. Do you think that eventually we're going to get just one release time worldwide going forward?
No.
Okay.
I doubt it. I guess I
don't
could
know.
see.
I don't know if the servers would be able to handle it if like everybody downloaded it at one moment. At least now it's broken down to, okay, here, this chunk of people gets it at midnight in this time zone. An hour later, we can deal with these people.
It already works like that for digital releases.
Okay.
Like, people in California can play games at 9 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then why can't all of us just play it whenever I think Australia's the first one who gets it, right?
I think, yeah, they are. I think that, I don't know why they do that. I don't know why. I think it's the region, maybe. Like, the region that you tie your console to determines, well, I already know that. So you'd pick your region, and then that ties you to the PlayStation Store of that region, which probably has its own time zone.
But you're talking about a company who understands how online anything works.
Sure. I don't know that Nintendo has discovered the Prime Meridian. I don't think that they understand that there are time zones. Japan is all one time zone. I think that they maybe just don't know, honestly.
Maybe. There's a good chance. Apparently, completely random, but similar thought processes. I believe at least somebody on my timeline for Twitter recently tweeted or retweeted, China only has one time zone?
Does it really?
How in the hell does that work?
I think it means that it gets dark at 3 p.m. in certain parts of the country. It the sun comes up at 2 a.m.
Oh, no. Okay, wait. Geographically, they cover 5 time zones. However, the standard times used in the Chinese mainland are the same. So they have 5 theoretically, but only use 1? Question mark? I don't know. That's another thing for another day.
That's a topic for another podcast. Not our podcast. Somebody else can talk about that.
Yeah. Point being, time zones are real. Nintendo, please don't strike down every single content creator because you think that they're all illegally playing your game.
For sure. Thank you for tuning into episode 121 of the Quick Time Event Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can find us live right here on twitch.tv/CDR Magnus every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, except next week, which we'll probably be broadcasting on either Tuesday or Wednesday, most likely Tuesday.
You have all your Thanksgiving stuff ready to go?
I do.
Or are you making a special, what is it? Not curbside. Grocery delivery. What's the word for that? There's like a fancy word for it, right?
Just like deliver, I guess. I don't know. Delivery.
I wasn't sure.
Curbside Express is the one where you go and pick it up. They bring it out to your car.
Okay.
But no, we got all our food like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
It's just to make sure that they weren't sold out the day before.
Yeah, smart.
So yeah, we'll be back here Tuesday or Wednesday next week. The following week we will do our pre-show for the Game Awards. Week after that will be the co-stream of the Game Awards. So join us live for the Game Awards that night. Hang out with us, be in chat as we react to all of the Google Stadia commercials that we'll be playing.
Oh God. Just wait until we see how many world premieres happen this year. Maybe that'll be part. I might make a little, just for fun. Take a drink every time they say world premiere.
Ooh, yeah. Thank you again for tuning in. We will be back next week. If you want to join our Discord server, that would be pretty fun for all of us.
Good times. I posted an omelet pic earlier.
Omelet. You can see an omelet in the Discord channel. Link is in the Twitch panels below if you would like to join Discord. We are a fun-loving bunch over there. Also, thank you for our QuickTime event producers. Our Extra Life QuickTime event producers. Thank you to Jake Reid, Janet, Mitchell, Hammond of Texas, Clasen Painting, Mr. Binks, and CC23. You helped us achieve our Extra Life goals, and we will award you with producer status for the next 51 episodes of QuickTime event. No,
Thank you.
Well, 51-ish.
50-ish, yeah. Something, whatever is a year.
Until the next Extra Life.
Yes. And no, we will not be suddenly taking a 1-year hiatus.
No.
Don't worry about that.
I will be back here on Twitch streaming Bug Snacks Sunday night.
Oh, can't wait.
So if you want to check out Bug Snacks, if you want to check out the PlayStation 5, come hang out on Sunday. 8:30 p.m. I'll be right here.
I want to watch, but Bug Snacks isn't going to be like a huge story-driven game, right?
Honestly, I don't know. And so it's not a huge story-driven game. It's 15 hours, I think, is the platinum. However,
Sure.
I have seen that there are like some really interesting things that happen story-wise.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but take that as you will.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in once again. It has been 2 hours, so we need to get out of here. We hope you join us next week and in the future. That was an awkward way to end the podcast. Have yourselves a good weekend. We'll see you next time.
Enjoy.